Hey guys, this is Torno, and today we're going to be talking about Edward Kenway, going through a budget deck for Edward Kenway with $100 budget. And then we're going to talk a little bit before we get into that though about Edward as a character, just because, you know, I think a lot of people kind of overlook the Assassin's Creed stuff, which is a little bit kind of disappointing. Not in regards to like the player base, because I do think that the Assassin's Creed stuff wasn't done all the best, but some of it's one of, I think, the most flavorful set in regards to just how well it was put together, how well they captured the characters and everything. So we'll talk about that a little bit beforehand. But you know, before we even get into that, make sure you guys subscribe, make sure you share the video around, all that kind of stuff. We're trying to aim to hit 10,000 subscribers at the moment by the end of December. We have, you know, a month and a half to get there. We're going to be doing giveaways. We're going to be doing, you know, some celebration stuff. We're going to be, I want to hear from you guys as to what you want to do. You know, some people suggested giving like a budget deck away, which I would love to do. Some people suggested doing like reviewing all my decks and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys as to how you'd like to celebrate that. And thank you so much for, you know, all the support over the last year and everything. So talking about Edward, he is one of the characters that was just huge to me when I was younger. The Assassin's Creed Black Flag is honestly one of my favorite games of all time. It's the definitive pirate game and definitive like ocean ship like movement and stuff. Like they captured the whole ship thing so well. You actually feel like you're, you know, sailing a ship. You feel like a pirate. You do so much stuff. It is honestly just amazing. It was like it was a hugely important game to me when I was younger. It was one of the games that, you know, I used to escape and just kind of, I would just sometimes just go around on the Jackdaw as Edward and just completely zone out, just listening to the sea shanties and just kind of, you know, just exploring and stuff. But so when the Assassin's Creed set came out, I knew that I had to make an Edward Kenway deck because he was just an amazing character. And I played him the other day against Jack John Jackson in just like a 1v1, and it was so fun. And I'm so sad that that set got overlooked so much because of so many different characters within it. Just kind of captured the flavor of those characters, as well as just like some amazing new mechanics and stuff. But the way they, you know, did the set with like with the Beyond boosters and everything, I completely understand why people kind of overlooked it. But either way, you know, getting into Edward and getting into the actual deck, enough about me. Edward is a very awesome, you know, commander. He combines both assassins, pirates, and vehicles together, which is really cool. So at the beginning of your end step, you get to create a treasure for each tapped assassin, pirate, or vehicle that you control. So, you know, there's a number of different ways that you can tap your assassins and pirates, mostly, you know, just from attacking. That's the one that kind of first comes up. But then you see like later on, and the fact that he mentions vehicles there, is that you can use vehicles really well with Edward, because you tap your assassins and pirates to crew your vehicles, and then your vehicles, you then tap them because you're attacking with them. It's really awesome. So the second part is whenever a vehicle you control deals combat damage to a player, look at the top card of that player's library and then exile it. So that's each vehicle that deals damage. So if you hit someone with 3 vehicles, you're exiling 3 cards off the top of the deck, and then you can play that card for as long as it remains exiled. So that bit here is also important because of the fact that it does not say you can spend mana however you please with it. So usually, you know, whenever you've got a theft deck, it's steal them and then you can play them with whatever cards you've got. With Edward, you can't. You need to actually be able to create the mana that is required. However, that kind of plays back into the top part where you're plundering and creating a huge amount of treasures, that those treasures then you can spend to steal people's stuff. So it's a really cool, like, theft vehicles, which is awesome. I love it. All right, so let's go through the deck here. Obviously, you know, Edward's the commander, and he's going to be based around us kind of wanting vehicles, pirates, and assassins. Mostly I focus on the pirates because pirates have their inner synergies, and if I went to focus too much on the assassins, then they don't synergize well with the pirates. Like, you know, they don't have the same buff stuff up each other, as well as the fact that vehicles, there's like pirate centric vehicles. I don't know if we used any of them, but yeah, mostly focused around the pirates, just because, you know, while Edward was in the was an assassin and stuff, he also was more focused around kind of the piratey stuff, or at least, you know, during Black Flag and everything. He kind of focused around being the pirate at the start. He kind of falls into becoming an assassin rather than starting there, because of the fact that he steals an assassin's clothing. He kind of falls into it rather than actually becoming an assassin before that, which is really cool. So our artifacts, you know, most of them are going to be vehicles. We've got a whole bunch of different vehicles in here. The Consulate Dreadnought's really awesome because you pay 1 and then it's crew 6, and because of the fact that we want to be tapping down our stuff, we don't mind that it's crew 6 because we just, you know, tap down our stuff. We've got Time Sieve here, which is an infinite with Edward, because we're going to be creating 5 treasures at least. You know, easily we can create 5 treasures, and then you tap Time Sieve, sacrifice them, take an extra turn, go again, attack, create those treasures, tap Time Sieve, take another turn. So you can create this infinite loop so easily with Time Sieve with Edward that it is just, yeah, it's bonkers. We've got, you know, a variety of different vehicles pulled from everywhere. Like, we've got one from Fallout here, we've got an Assassin's Creed one, we've got a Dungeons and Dragons, we've got the Jackdaw. Obviously, even if the Jackdaw wasn't great, I would still put it in here, but it is great. We've got the Horde Hauler from, like, you know, the actual what was it, SNC, wow, Streets of New Capenna. We've got the Titanic because, you know, we needed some Doctor Who stuff in here. And I just love the idea of taking the Titanic. Edward gets in the Titanic and freaking crashes it into someone. And then all this treasure spills out. And then we do have ways to be able to recur stuff, so we can bring back the Titanic in here as well. The Cyber Ship is great as well, because when you deal combat damage to someone with it, you're going to take the top 2 cards of the library, exile them face down, and now you've got an extra 2 creatures that you can crew stuff with, or you can just attack with, or use them as blockers, etc. And we'd have ways to be able to turn those into assassins too, so that way, you know, even if we attack with them, boom, that's extra procs for Edward. The Staff of Eden is another great one from the Assassin's Creed set, which I think, again, a lot of people kind of overlooked. In any theft deck, and that's going to be having, like, you know, stealing people's permanents, this is great because you just tap it, draw a card for each permanent you control but don't own, as well as the fact that you can steal a legendary permanent with it. So you can steal legendaries, other people's legendaries from their graveyards, and then you can also draw cards based off of the amount that you don't own. It's great. Create more treasures and everything. So our creatures, we're running only 20 creatures, technically 19, because we're most likely going to cast Cosima here as... yeah, I don't think you'd cast her on that side as the Omen kill. So we've got a couple different, like, tutors in here, because there's a really cheap, like, pirate tutor, and this one, the Loyal Inventor, synergizes really well with it, because you tutor up an artifact, and because we've got an assassin, it goes into our hand. So that's 3 to tutor up an artifact, which is great. As I said, you know, mostly kind of just creatures based around either pirating or just mostly pirating and treasures. Like, yeah, the only one that we have in here that isn't a pirate or assassin is what the Artificer do, the Loyal Inventor here. And then we've got Joyra here, because we needed to have Joyra because she's just going to draw us 1 million cards, because we're playing 1 million different historic permanents. We also have Roshan, who is an assassin, but he's going to turn all creatures you control into assassins. So keep in mind that that is also going to be any creatures that you have stolen from other people. So you've, you know, exiled off the top of their deck and then played it, or anything that you've stolen with the Cyber Ship is also going to be, as well as the Cyber Ship ones are then also going to have Menace, because he gives face down creatures Menace. Really great. Unlikely you're going to turn those face up. You might, who knows? That's up to you. Our enchantments here, I think the Unearthly Child is the main one I want to talk about here, because that just, I think that probably won me the game with against Jack John Jackson, because I played this, and then essentially what you do is you just reveal cards from the top of your library at the start of each upkeep, so the second and third upkeep that is out, and you find a vehicle, put it into your hand. So that's just like, it's not a tutor, but it is like finding a vehicle from the top, put it into your hand. That's great. I love it. It's really, really good. You know, Black Market Connections, I think we had to have in here because it's just going to create so much value. Rooftop Bypass. We want more assassins. Even if we're using them to crew vehicles, that's going to be great. Coastal Piracy. We could have used Reconnaissance Mission or whatever, but, you know, this just works well with it. And then Revel, Will, and Riches and alternate win con. Our instance, you know, we've got a couple ones in here that are from Assassin's Creed as well. I think free running is really an underrated mechanic. Not even like, you don't even need to have an assassin in your deck. It obviously works better with assassins because you're more likely to be able to proc it. But even if you just deal combat damage with your commander, you're going to be able to do it. Now, Edward is going to be crewing vehicles sometimes, but we have ways to be able to buff him up, or he is a decent like 5/5. If you can get a hit in when you need to, when you want to cast one of these, you know, 3 free running spells that I've got in here, then you can. Otherwise, you know, he's free to crew a vehicle or whatever. Desynchronization is a great removal spell in this deck as well, because even beyond the fact that all our vehicles are going to stay, it's also going to be able to keep back a lot of our creatures because we have a bunch of legendaries. Obviously, you know, not all our legendaries, but a bunch of them are like, a bunch of our creatures are legendary. So it's going to work really, really well with it. And then, you know, lands, normal lands, you know, we've mostly just got dual lands here just to be able to get as many colors out in our lands as possible, because we're going to be, you know, stealing a whole bunch of stuff and we can't create whatever mana or use whatever mana we want with them. And then our sorceries, you know, we got a couple ways to be able to bring creatures back, a double, an extra combat phase there. Blood Money is just going to be win con with what is it? Not Rain and Riches. The other one. Wow, I'm blanking out. This one up here, Revel and Riches. Rain and Riches is, they're both, why they both are well. And then we've got Blasphemous Act as a board wipe there. So yeah, this is honestly one deck that is really, really important to me. I absolutely love it. I should show you my one. So this is going to be my actual one in here. So if you guys go over to my Architect, you'll be able to see all my stuff in here. And this is my Jackdaw deck. It's not too much different, right? Like, I have some bigger vehicles in here, like the Reaver Titan and the Thunderhawk gunship. I probably need a few more vehicles too. I don't have as many vehicles as I would like. Maybe I'll get some more. As for our creatures, you know, I've got a Ragavan, so that's in there. The Thieving Varmint's going to be great because of the fact that you can add mana of any color with it, and then you can use that for spells you cast that you don't own. So anything that you've thieved, anything you've stolen, it's going to work well with. I also do have Mishra in here as well, which is good because Mishra is then going to be able to make a vehicle, like the Mishra's war form can become a copy of a vehicle, which is good. You do need to sacrifice at the beginning of your next end step, but because of the way Edward works, he works at the beginning of your end step as well. So technically you can do the sacrifice after you've done Edward's trigger there. I also have a Talia in here just because it's funny. Court of Lochthwain as well as a big one. That at knife point is good, but I don't know. I think I need to remove some of the creatures in here and kind of replace them with more vehicles for the way it works. But even then, you know, you can... Edward still works with pirates. He still works well with pirates. He still works well with, you know, assassins if you want to build him assassin tribal. Works well with a bunch of different things, actually. He's a really, really fun character. I also don't have my Revel in Riches in here. I actually don't know what deck I've got that in, if I do have one. But I'd love to hear from you guys as to what you think, whether it's, you know, about the Assassin's Creed set or whether it's about this Edward deck. I hope you guys had a wonderful day. I'll put the link to this down below. Catch you later.